Here in London, music startup Roli has acquired a framework called Juce, which is going to be incorporated into its audio hardware, in particular the Seaboard Grand piano, or keyboard rather. We're going to hear about the keyboard, and we're going to talk to Roland Lamb, founder of Roli. Roland, tell us about it all.
Well, yeah, this is the Seaboard Grand, and it's a reinvention of the piano keyboard. So, you know, I'm a keyboard player, and I love keyboards, but when you play a note on a keyboard, the sound just kind of decays. And even though it's a 400-year-old interface, it's the dominant interface for music production today. But with the Seaboard, you can play it just like a keyboard, so I can play a chord, but then with each note, I can modulate the sound in real time using intuitive gestures. So I can play like, so that's like a vibrato, and it's just by wiggling my finger I can create that vibrato.
So there's sensors underneath each key that can sense and it's actually quite sensitive, isn't it? Because I tried this earlier. It's very, very sensitive to the small movement of the finger.
That's right, and it also, it's both sensitive in terms of the information that it takes in, but it also gives you a lot of information. So like when you bend a guitar string, the further you bend the pitch, the more pull on the string. And the Seaboard works in the same way. So, you know, it's kind of has this elasticity that feels really interesting, and it feels very musical.
This, now, we must say something about the keyboard itself, because it's quite startling. When you touch it, it almost feels organic. I mean, I'm not a keyboard player, but I mean, just feeling it, it's almost like skin or something. What is this material?
So this is it's made of.
It feels like rubber, but there's something else about it as well.
Yeah, so it's a kind of it's a silicone compound that we developed, and then we've treated it in different ways to give it this very soft and human touch. And particularly, you know, I think the organic nature of it is important, both in terms of the feel and the sound it can create. So with certain bell-like sounds, you know, that you play with this, you can play it, and if you hit it lightly, you get the sound of a bell. And then if you kind of press in and feel that organic quality, the sound becomes a more layered sound. So like here, you just get a single bell, but then as I press in, so it has that kind of layered quality, and the layered nature of the sound really fits with the tactile quality of playing the Seaboard.
Is it very hard to learn?
It takes some time to learn. I mean, I think people who are, the one group of people who don't really need to learn it and can play it instantly are multi-instrumentalists. So I've showed it to some guys who play like guitar and piano, and they can play it right away because it's built all on intuitive principles for musicians. But many of the principles come from the piano, but some come from instruments like the guitar or the double bass, for example. So, you know, with a lot of instruments like a double bass, what makes it sound like a double bass are these kinds of slides that you play as you go, and you know, pianists aren't used to that. But with the Seaboard, you can simulate that, so people who have that experience can instantly kind of sit down and play something like.
Amazing. And there's also something along the bottom and the top, is there?
That's right. So musically, often you want to make small slides, like these little vibratos, or and you know, of a half step or a whole step, and you can do that on the keys using these intuitive gestures. But if you want to actually like make a longer slide, the flat surface along the top or the bottom works well for that. So like with this sound. Because the physical surface is what makes the gesture possible. Like, it's not possible to strum something unless there's a set of strings that you can strum on. It's not possible to slide unless you have a long flat surface. So, you know, we modeled, when I invented the Seaboard, I kind of modeled the different musical elements that you would need in the different shapes of the surface of the keyboard.
And of course, you know, because this surface is so tactile, you can move down with your finger very easily. I mean, you'd never be able to do that on a normal keyboard.
That's right, and also because it's one continuous surface, you can actually start on the key like this. So I started playing up on a place where I could feel exactly like I'm hitting the note, and then I slid off that into this continuous. So in music, it's really important to have discrete notes, like separate notes, and also these continuous notes. And the discrete areas and the continuous areas of the Seaboard really make it one of the first instruments that allow you to do both of those things at the same time with multiple notes.
And you haven't just invented the Seaboard just to be a new kind of musical instrument, have you? There's some thinking behind this company becoming a real sort of tech play, basically.
That's right, and basically the Seaboard is just the beginning for us in terms of exploring new forms of interaction, because as technologies get faster and faster, the actual point where we physically touch and interact with computers gets to be more important, and many of the ways that we do that are really antiquated. So I started with a piano keyboard that's been around for 400 years, but even a QWERTY keyboard coming from a typewriter has been around for a long time. And those are areas that are ripe for innovation because we're putting data in very slowly, but there's ways that we could put data into computers much more richly. And touch, like really a rich touch, is one of the most overlooked areas. So that's an area that we want to innovate in, but to do that we have to build a real chain of technologies that starts from the materials and the sensors, but moves all the way through to software.
Well, I gather you've got some breaking news about your deal with Juce. Why don't you play us out and then let's go and have a talk about it.
All right, that sounds good.
Jules Story, you're the founder of Juce. What exactly is Juce?
Juce is a C++ framework that's used pretty widely in the audio industry. We power most of the audio plugins out there and lots of other apps and different.
And it's been going for some time,
It's been going for quite a long time now. It's been a commercial product for nearly 10 years.
So what does this mean exactly?
Well, basically, as you saw with the Seaboard, we can have a big impact on music. But in order to do that, it's not just about the hardware, it's also building out the software chain and being able to connect the Seaboard and our new devices to everything. And Juce is an amazing framework, and we feel like we can help to build it out horizontally to make it an even stronger product, and also vertically integrate it into what we're doing at Roli.
And what other products eventually would you like to create with this amalgamation?
Well, we want to make the kind of technologies that we're developing at Roli available to everyone and in many other contexts. And now with all of our future products, we'll be able to instantly plug them in to people's favorite music tools. And we feel like we can build more of a kind of whole stack in terms of our design and our hardware and software technology.
So what can we see that coming out as a result of this union? Are you going to build a guitar with Roli built in?
Well, I think we're going to build a lot of other instruments, like a Seaboard, like other, using that technology to make other musical instruments. But each of those will instantly be able to be used with people's favorite software tools, which are already running on Juce.
Well, fantastic, and congratulations.
Thanks so much.